Hello and welcome to Fluorescent. Today I'm joined with Emma and Jess, who are going to be talking a bit about their podcast, Fluff, which is really exciting.
I'm Emma, I'm she, her. I'm a creative practitioner, drama practitioner, director as well. And so Fluff is sort of our labour of love between the two of us, with my best friend here, who is
Jess, she, her. Also a creative practitioner. We studied together at university, so we both really enjoy using theatre and drama to support people's well-being, and we work from age 6 up to age 96. And we love what we do. We love working with the community and creating theatre. But we started to feel after a few years of graduating, we were just a little bit missing ownership of our own work. And so Fluff Podcast has been our thing, and we love it.
And I'd say our practice is about being inclusive, about being creative and person-centered, and about creating connections. We're also both two queer lesbians, so it's really important to us that we're talking about all different types of identities, but particularly our own identities in our work.
Yeah. And talking about it in a playful way. We both really believe in having fun, being silly, using our imagination. So we just want to play all the time, and we play through our podcast with our listeners too. I think when we're recording, as much as listeners say it feels like they're in the room with us, we definitely feel like our listeners are in the room with us too. And we are two people who speak very openly and honestly about our emotions and our experiences, be it things which are quite raw experiences, like we talk a lot about our own mental health, we talk about heartbreak, we talk about medical things that have happened to our bodies, which were maybe unpleasant experiences. But because we don't have any shame between us about talking about that, we are happy to put that out to our listeners, because we have got so much from each other by revealing that, and like a solidarity between each other.
Yeah, I think from the start, what we wanted to be building on was our friendship, and our friendship is incredibly honest and incredibly blunt and open, and there are no secrets. And so I think how it translates, or how we hope it translates to listeners, is that you are included into this relationship. But it is quite interesting. We're getting lots of feedback from listeners who we don't know, who are connecting to that part, the honesty part, and saying how it's really helpful for them, taking away the stigma around those being dirty, secretive topics.
Yeah. And we were saying the other day how it's actually been very therapeutic for us as well. We are living in the time of COVID-19, where we are in one space, and a lot of kind of previous experiences and emotions were bubbling up. So they were very present, and we needed to process them and talk about them.
Well, I think first and foremost, we love podcasts, and we have podcasts that we engage with regularly. And we love the fact that it's a type of consistent art form where you build a relationship with people over time. You get to know them, you get to learn things about their life. So the fact that we get to create new content every single week and connect to listeners every single week makes it different from our normal practice of theatre, where we might do one show, which is 1 hour, and people would have to come and see that in order to engage with it. It's also a really accessible platform. We are from different places and have different friends and family around the world. So this is a way where people can engage at their own time. You can start an episode, come back to it, you can pick and choose. And I just feel like it's a really digestible art form.
Yeah, and we knew kind of content that we wanted to creatively explore. So for example, we wanted to talk about being queer lesbians, we wanted to talk about coming out, but such things as theatre, which would be our usual medium, requires funding, money, rehearsal space. Whereas we were bubbling and ready to go. We kept talking about it, and we were like, we want to start making this now. So the podcast was just something, we just put our phone down one day and had a chat, and we were like, we think we're quite entertaining.
We hope we are.
What inspired you to start this podcast? I'm guessing, all of these conversations, but were there any other factors that inspired you to start it as well?
Well, we wanted to do something together. We've wanted to do something together for a long time. We don't normally live in the same location, so it was something that could be done through technology without having to be in the same space 24/7. But also, I think we both went through, in the last 3 years, a significant life change in the form of heartbreak. And when I had my heartbreak, which was first, I was obsessed with podcasts because I was suddenly living alone, and it was a way of feeling like there's other people in your home with you. And I then became obsessed with the idea of making a podcast that was solely about heartbreak. I dropped that as I moved on and recovered, because I remembered that life isn't just about that one experience. But then when Jess went through it, it sort of surfaced again as, but wouldn't that, even just as an episode, be great? And then from there we thought, but you know what, we've got so much to offer. This is a really exciting long-term prospect for us.
It's a celebration of friendship, and through our work, as we said, we're person-centered. We work with quite vulnerable people, and so we really know the impacts of feeling lonely, feeling disconnected from others, and what that feels like, and the kind of mental health impacts of that. So we know how important it is to feel connected to others, and we just were like, we can do it. And particularly about adult life and adult friendship. So we wanted to kind of let people know that don't worry if you haven't got people yet, or like they're not of people your age. Like, friendship can happen anytime and in any form.
We also were excited about the prospect of making something that wasn't censored or controlled by any sort of above management. Yeah. It's just us. Because we're self-funded, there's no one saying it has to be about this or it has to have these outcomes. It's just for us to make whatever we want it to be.
What kind of thing, if there's someone who wants to set up a podcast, what kind of software would they need?
Hardly anything.
Yeah, genuinely very little. Obviously, you can go high tech, and as Fluff grows, we are ambitious and would like to sort of invest in some great microphones, some soundproofing equipment, but we just use our mobile phones at this point. Mobile phones are so, the technology changes every time they release a new one, so they're actually quite good at picking up voices, and as long as you sort of set up your space to be as quiet as possible, it's fine. And then we edit using Audacity, which is a free software on the computer, but you can get podcast making apps on your phone where you can edit it right on your phone, or you can script it and just release it as you've recorded it. You don't have to go through an editing process. That's individual.
And financial wise, it didn't take much money to set up. We did pay for like some music license, so we could have an intro and an outro to our podcast. But other than that, it wouldn't take much funding, except through it, Emma and I realised there was greater creative potential through our social media. So we've started taking photos, making a trailer. We do lots of social media fun content. And for that, we've had to just fund some props.
But if you just want to get your word out there, you don't need to go that far.
So you can listen to our podcast, Fluff, which stands for Friendship, Love, Unfortunate Failure, and Fun. You can listen on all most podcast platforms, including Acast, Apple Podcasts, Spotify.
And YouTube.
And YouTube. In season 1 at the moment.
Yeah.
So that means there's plenty more seasons to come. And our Instagram and Twitter handle is @FluffCreatives. And we do provide a lot of content, educational content, where we break down terminology that we've used in our podcast. Fun games, interactive games. We do like prizes and competitions. So if you want to be interviewed, or if you want to suggest topics for uncensored chat, which we are happy to provide, it's fluffinquiries@gmail.com.